While working with distributed system like Apache Kafka, we have different components. Like for instance, when we are doing change data capture mechanism using Postgres, then we need to have a Apache Kafka connector using Debezium to capture those changes from Postgres wall, and then ingest those into Apache Kafka, then pass those events to Kafka streams to process that, and then we need to sync in another system where we can query data. For instance, it might be possible we will be using NoSQL for that. So as we can see, we have different components. Like we have Postgres, then we have Debezium Kafka connector, then we have Kafka itself, then we have sync connector, Kafka sync connector, then the Elasticsearch. So it might be possible we might have some kind of data from Postgres, and Debezium has successfully captured those changes and ingested into Kafka, but due to some reason it couldn't reach to Kafka stream, or might be there is an issue of sync connector. We don't know how or when or why that broke. Okay, so in order to do that, we should have a powerful or better mechanism of observability. We have three pillars of observability. One is logs, another is metrics, and another one is traces. Okay, so we it will help us if we do it in a better way, then it will unlock the ability to build better systems. Okay, what I mean by that is if you know, if our system has a lot of load on the source connector or on the Kafka stream or the sync connector, we can scale those or do some other optimization regarding that. Okay, so let's go to the metrics and metrics. So metrics are numeric representation of data measured over intervals of time. Metrics can harness the power of mathematical modeling and prediction to drive knowledge of a behavior of a system over intervals of time in the present and future. What I mean by that, let's look at what we mean by this definition. And we have Kafka Debezium connector. Okay, its responsibility is to pull data out of JDBC Connect source. Like for instance, we are capturing changes from Postgres and ingesting into Kafka. Okay, then we can have Kafka streams on top of that to process those changes. Then we have Kafka sync connector to push that data to Elasticsearch. Okay, let's look at actually this Debezium connector offers JMX metrics, and if we go to Postgres and look for monitoring, okay, monitoring, then we need to see if we can have solid streaming metrics, which will be super helpful in debugging some issues or getting a better picture of what's going on behind the scene, how many records has been published or some things like that. Let's look at those. Okay, we have, this is very important metrics, because whenever we have change data capture mechanism in place, then we need to see when is the last time or what is the last event which the connector has read. Okay, so the millisecond since last event, so we need to know if that connector is still working or has been stopped due to some exception or something. But we need to know when did that happen, or when did that connector stop it. Okay, total number of events seen. It would be really helpful if we can have a way to know how many events this connector has ingested successfully. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to enable JMX matrix in Kafka Debezium image, and need to enable a agent, JMX agent, to publish those metrics into any available endpoint to show them the user where for instance, we have another mechanism which is called Prometheus. Prometheus is a server which collects those metrics from the Kafka Debezium connector and shows in the form of a graph. Then we can also have rich graphs on top of that in using Grafana, but I will be covering only the Prometheus one. Okay, so let's look at the Docker Compose file which we'll be using. It is pretty simple. We have Zookeeper, okay, then we have Kafka Broker, okay, so and then we have JDBC source connector. Okay, so we and it is using Debezium Connect latest Docker image. Okay, and here we have defined some configuration for it. Okay, this is a JMX port, it is a JMX host. Okay, and the most important configurations are we need to have we need to mount our jar in volume in it. As you can see, this is the JMX Prometheus Java agent. I have downloaded it. You can just Google it and download it and put into some directory, and then we need to mount it to Kafka Connect matrix JMX, or it can be anything. Okay, just we need to be sure that this path, okay, this path and this path should be similar. Okay, and we need to have configuration for that as well. We should have a file called JMX Kafka Connect config, so it should should be mapped to this file, and this path should map to this path. Okay, and this is the port where we are publishing changes, metrics. Okay, as I can show you, we have jars folder. Okay, if I can show you, we have jars. Inside that we have JMX Prometheus Java agent a jar. Okay, and for this configuration file, we have this configuration file right here. Okay, if I can show you, this is a pretty standard JMX Kafka Connect config file. It's being used to pull to format those changes which Kafka publish as matrix. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, it is done. It's down at the moment. If we can see, okay, we don't have any. Let's run it and let it run. Okay, the important part is we need to have these two configurations. This is the Kafka opt. Okay, we have to have, this is Java agent, and we need to provide this path of jar, which is actually we just mounted here. Okay, if I can show you, this path should be reflected right here, and this is the path of that configuration file which is right here. Okay, this is the file from Kafka connector Docker container, and this is on my host machine. Okay, so this is the port, and we need to publish those changes to expose those as a port. So I have exported to 8081, and in the Prometheus side I have this one. I have this configuration, this folder. Okay, it is the folder on host, and it will be the folder in Prometheus container, and this is the file which is being used by Prometheus. Okay, and it's running on 9001, and if I can show you, we have Prometheus, and we have this Prometheus configuration. It's pretty simple, and if I can show you, this is the Kafka Connect JDBC. Okay, we need to provide the container name and the port. Okay, this maps to, if I can show you side by side, it should map to this one. Okay, as I can show you, this is the port, this is the port, and this is the name of the container, this is the name of the container. Okay, it should match. If you have different, then kindly make those changes accordingly. Okay, we can access the metrics in JConsole as well, and we need to need to see if we can access those logs. Okay, here we go, we have these metrics available to us. Okay, and if we go to okay, we need to see if we have, it's Prometheus which is running up and running, and if we look at the log targets, here it is. And if I can sorry, okay, sorry about that. And okay, so let's see if we have any kind of available at the moment. Okay, we don't have any at the moment. And this is a graph, and if I can show you last 30 minutes, it's a pretty good start. Okay, let's assume we have chain data capture mechanism in place, and if we see, it has mentioned that we should have last event. Okay, let's search for that last event. Okay, we don't have any because we haven't yet enabled change data capture mechanism or have any connector which is doing streaming changes. Okay, so let's do that real quick. If we go to this command, okay, now let's go to this. Okay, let's connect it, let's connect this. Okay, I'm connected. I'm going to create that database, table, change replica identity to full, and add a publication with that table. And now we need to create connector, okay, using this configuration right here. Okay, so we just need to create that postman request. So as soon as we get any changes, we can see it. Okay, so our connector is up and running, and if I can show you my connector, okay, so we have this configuration, it's a Postgres, and we have publication name as we have created in Postgres, and this is the test database, test host name, it's a Docker image name, a container name, and I have used table whitelist regex, and here we have all that necessary information. Let's create this connector. Okay, as you can see, we have this kind of information, and now let's create some records. Okay, and as soon as we just create any record, let's see, refresh it, last event. Okay, we have this milliseconds is last event. Okay, let's execute it. As you can see, this is 37. Okay, and we have other events as well. Total number of events seen, total number of events seen, total number event seen. Okay, let's see if it can report. Okay, it has only one. Let's add and update it and see if it has now 2. Okay, okay, let's see how it goes now. it goes to 3. So this is how we need to monitor. It will be very helpful for monitoring purposes, because you in this way you can see how many events your Kafka connector has processed so far. Okay, now you can work on the optimization part if you are having any kind of issues. Okay, so Debezium connector is very capable of delivering data and also providing metrics, and we just need to use those metrics wisely to debug those systems. Thank you for your time.